Now let's create bar diagrams. So I've already gone ahead and grabbed some data here. So I've created people. These are the list of people I've got. I also have this X position. Okay, this is just the length of people from 0 all the way to the length of the people. And I have these performance as well. Okay, so this is going to be the bar diagram about people and their performance. And also have this error factor. Okay, so I've created, or at least I've initialized my figure and the axis. Also have the X label, Y label, as well as the title. Now let's create the vertical bar diagram. So for that, I'm going to call dot bar method on this axis. Okay, and I'm going to pass the X and Y value. So initially, let's pass the X and Y value. So in the X value, I'm going to pass this X underscore pose. And the Y, I'm going to pass the performance of the people. Okay, and let's run it. So there we go. So we have a bar diagram here. Okay, and on the X we have the X position, on the Y the actual performance of the people. Now I would want people themselves to be represented here. Okay, the name of the people to be represented instead of this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 values. Well, for that I could deal with these ticks. So in my axis I'm going to call set, okay, X ticks. So initially the X ticks are going to be this X position. Okay, this is going to be the number that represents my X ticks, right? And now I'm going to replace it, okay, with this set X tick labels. Now I'm going to pass people right here. Okay, now the label of this X tick, so this is the actual X tick, so I'll have the X position. However, the label will be the people. Okay, let's run it. And as you can see, okay, we have the names of the individual, okay, here on our X tick labels. Okay, now let's also add an error factor. So here I'm going to call this error. Now, since this is a vertical bar diagram, okay, the error factor is going to be the Y. So Y, ERR is the parameter I have, and let's call this error right here. This is just a random error value, and as you can see, we have this error factor as well. So let's create another bar diagram. Let's create a horizontal bar chart. Now here's where I've got some data, the Y position, the error, as well as the performance. Now, to create this horizontal, I'm going to call the bar H. Okay, so this is going to create the horizontal bar diagram. Now here I'm going to pass the Y position and the performance, okay, and the X error, okay, as the error. Let's run it. Looks like I've messed up the spelling of the performance, so let's run it again, and we get a horizontal bar chart. Okay, on my X we have the performance here, and on the Y we have the actual Y position. Now here this Y position is representing this point right here, so we are reading this in a horizontal manner. Okay, this technically is X and this one is Y. Now let's look at another bar chart called grouped bar chart. Now for that as well, I've already grabbed some data. I've grabbed the levels. Okay, I've also grabbed the mean of the men and women. So this is going to contain the scores by group and gender. I've also initialized the plots here. So I've created the figure and axis, so the title, the Y label, the X ticks, as well as the X tick level sign. I also have created a couple of extra data here. Okay, now let's create a bar diagram. So since this is going to be a grouped bar diagram, let's create multiple of them. So let's call one to be bar 1. Okay, let's call this to be ax dot bar. Okay, let's pass the X, and let's pass the means here, and let's also label them. Okay, let's label this as mean, and let's create another one. Okay, let's call bar 2. Okay, it's going to be equal to x dot bar. Okay, let's also pass X in here, and the Y data is going to be the women means. Okay, and then the label is called this as women. Now see, I passed x value as both the x on both the bar diagram. Okay, this is going to be conflicting. So this is where this width is going to come into play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this bar diagram to be on the left side. So let's make this to be x minus the width value, and then the other one to be on the right side. Let's make it x plus the width value. And we also have a parameter called width we can add. Okay, so right here width would represent this width. Okay, so let's mention a default width of 0.35. So let's pass in the width value on both of them. So let's also pass width on the bar 2 as well. And now since I passed the label, I'm also going to call the legend property. Okay, now let's run it, and there we go, we get a bar diagram, but it just looks quite messed up right here. So let's try to divide it by 2. Okay, let's divide both of them by 2, and let's run it again. Now it works fine. So we get a grouped bar diagram here, which is representing both min and women in G1, G2, G3, 4, and 5. And if I want to have some spaces right here, well, I could just play around. So if I come, let's say, to the second guy and say, if I add, let's say, 0.0, let's say 5, let's run it. There you go. We can see a little space in here, and it looks much better. So let's also add the numbering to each of them. Okay, let's add the number on the head of it. Okay, what do each of these represent? Obviously we could read this. For instance, this one is 20, this one's 25, and so on, but sometimes it's going to be quite hard. So for that, what I can do is I can call, okay, the bar underscore label method. Okay, so let's call this on the bar 1, and let's also call it bar label on the bar 2. Okay, and let's run it now. As you can see, we get the label on top of each of the line. Okay, each of our bar line. So this is all about bar diagrams.